Hi there everybody, and welcome to another video. On today's video I have this Mercedes B200d. So this is a diesel version, 2017. I'm going to be changing the oil and the oil filter, and I'm just going to show you right now where you can top up some screen wash fluid. Screen wash fluid goes here in this little container. That fluid is for, I already topped it up, washing your windscreen when you're driving on the road, motorway, whatever, and it gets dirty and you wash it with that fluid. So I recommend to put the correct fluid in there, something like this, screen wash. So this fluid will not get frozen in winter, as if you only put water in there and we get minus temperatures, then that will freeze and it won't come out. So it's a good idea to put the proper stuff. It's cheap enough. You can buy a 5-liter bottle ready mixed for about £3 or so. So that's where it goes. It's a good idea to always have it full. It's always needed. So yeah. Now we'll move on to the oil and the oil filter. And basically I have the manual here just to show you the capacities. So as I said, this is a B200d, and I always get a little bit confused by this, but I guess it shouldn't be that confusing really. But it shows you the model of the car here and the capacity, including the oil filter. So if you look for your vehicle, so if you have a B180 petrol, it takes 5.8 liters. Now the B200d is not shown in here. So what it says is all other models take 6.5 liters. So all these models have a specific oil capacity there, but all other models that are not shown there take 6.5 liters, and that's what I understand by this list here, and I'm gonna go with that. And also I'm gonna use 5W30 oil. That is also something that you can look in your manual. I think there is a little diagram somewhere where it shows you how you can choose the correct temperature. On this page they show you for petrol engines to use this. This is the oil that they use, so it's 229.5, something that you can get from Mercedes-Benz. If you use if it's a diesel engine, you have these types here, but I'm just using the one I'm going to be using. It's here, AC for diesel engines, ACEA C3. So that's the one I'm actually going to be using. For petrol ones you have the A3 and B3 as shown in there. And yeah, there is a little chart that shows you sort of the oil thickness that you can use according to temperature, but I can't see it right now, but it is somewhere. So obviously if you live in Siberia, maybe you need to use a slightly thinner oil, and if you live in a very hot country, you may want to use a slightly thicker oil. But here in the UK, temperatures are always not extreme, so 5W30 is what I always use. Right, so let's get on with it. So first I'm just gonna pop this cover off, which I already done. It's literally plugged in and it just pops out. It is a bit hard to pull out, but it pops out of those points there, and it's just plugged in here and around there. Then I'm gonna pull the dipstick here, and I'm also going to open the oil filler cap here. Just leave it open, allow some air in the system while we drain it from underneath. I did warm up the car a little bit, maybe about 15 minutes, so the oil can come out a little bit easier. Now our oil filter is just sitting there. And this is the oil filter I have for this car, Malay OX1537 V2. So let's get that oil filter out. You're gonna need one of these sockets in order to get that filter out. The size of this, it's a 76. If I can just try to see that. 7614. So you can get one of those to get this filter out. Can be a little bit hard, but it shouldn't be too bad, basically. Okay, so I'm just letting it drain a little bit, and then we can pull that out. Just trying to avoid the mess, but that is our filter there. Then we're gonna take this out and change the 3 O-rings that come in there. If any oil has been dripped, just give it a wipe. So the kit should contain the filter and the 3 O-rings that we need to change. So now we're ready to get under the car and drain the oil. So I'm just gonna get the car up now. So the first thing I'm going to do, looking at the car from underneath, is remove this tray here, and that's just held in by some 8mm bolts. It's just a few of them, 3, 4, maybe 5 of them. Take that cover out, and then it will reveal the sump. So here we are, here's our sump. This is our 13mm bolt that we're going to open to release the oil, and so just have a view. And actually, a little tip: when you remove that cover there, it's actually 7 bolts. I just didn't notice the 2 at the back here. It's gonna be held in by these little clips here. So you remove all the bolts, it's not just going to drop, it's going to be held in by these little clips. You need to bring it back a little bit, and sort of it will come out of the clips. Well, you will understand when you do it. Right, with a 13mm socket and a ratchet here, we're going to crack this open. And again, shouldn't be too tight. Just remember, if the engine's been running a lot, the oil can be very hot as well, so be careful not to burn yourself. In this case, I only warmed it up a little bit, so it's not too hot. And I bought myself an oil pan to catch the oil. So let's try to avoid a mess. Whenever I say that, oil goes everywhere. Right, didn't get too messy, and we let that drain. While that is draining, we'll take care of our filter. So here's my filter, and we'll try to pull this out there. if you get yourself some small screwdriver or something like that, just to pull these O-rings out. So there's 3 of those. And the last one, which is just up here. Doesn't matter which way you put the filter. Okay. A little bit of multi-purpose grease around here, around the O-rings. You can also use a bit of the oil that you're actually going to put in the car. A new copper washer. Which, this is the size, by the way, 14 by 20 by 1.5. Just gonna wait for the oil to finish draining and then we can put that back. Right, time to put this back. And this can get tightening up to 35 Newton meters. I'm not using a torque wrench, but if you don't use a torque wrench, just make sure you don't damage it. Don't over tighten that. You can damage the sump, the thread, whatever. You want to avoid damaging anything. So if you locked it and you're not too sure it's tight enough, you can always monitor for any leaks as time goes by. But if you got a torque wrench, 35 Newton meters should do the job. Now I'm gonna put the cover back on and then lower the car, top up some oil and refit our filter. Time to get the filter back in. Put it in by hand. Put it in by hand as much as you can. That way you know it's going in the correct direction. You can then use your ratchet, and as it's written on the top, this gets tightened to about 25 Newton meters. So 25 Newton meters, not a lot of force, it's just written on there. Now we're ready to put some oil. $5W30 C3. Right, got all my oil in. Close that. You can have a quick check with the dipstick, see where the oil is at. But I got my 6.5 in there. So on the dipstick you have a minimum and a maximum. It's actually written there, min and max. So we want to be, obviously we're aiming to be on this end since we just changed it. And that's pretty much where we're at. We're right where it says max. Now, once we run the engine, some of the oil will go into the oil filter housing and will remain in there. So the next time you check your oil, it will be reading maybe around half, but that's okay. Okay, let's get the car started. And that's pretty much it. So just make sure, just check there are any major leaks or you haven't forgotten anything. There is a squeak on this car. It's definitely, I think it's coming from one of the idler pulleys there. I can see it wiggling a little bit. That's probably going to be the next video on this car, because I'm going to have to change that idler and also going to change the belt. So having said that, hope the video helps. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. So thank you for watching.